The week just gone has been a bit of a weird week, and it inspired me to start a series that involved a couple of my favourite things, which are food, talking, and learning. So here we are, sitting on a couch in snacks, chats, and tash. I feel like I usually would have made something fancy to snack on, like I would have used this as an excuse to bake because I like doing that. But I was on a time crunch. I had 2 auditions to churn out this morning, which is awesome. So what we've ended up with is roast capsicums that I bulk made a few days ago because capsicums were on sale. And my nonna used to make these all the time. All I can smell right now is garlic. I love garlic so much. It's essentially just capsicums, oil, garlic, salt, and parsley on sourdough toast. It would be like an part of the antipasto. So you'd have, your cured meats, cheeses, and these, and I would just sit there and eat an entire bowl of capsicums and bread, and then get to the 6-course meal and think, where am I going to put this? Somewhere, apparently. So I love these, and I'm so excited to dig into them. Okay, so we've got snacks covered. I didn't think about this. I have to chew this a lot. Now, in terms of the chatting, I wanted to talk about something that I've had to remind myself of this week, because it is so important in acting and in business in general, and that thing is confidence and mindset. I feel like mindset gets a bit of a bad rap these days because there are a lot of, mindset-related documentaries, books, people out there that give off scammy vibes, or just people that tell you if you believe you can do something, you'll achieve it. If you envision yourself being rich, you'll attract wealth. And unfortunately, I don't think it quite works like that. But I do think that mindset is insanely important in acting and in business in general. And this all came up because I was going through a lull in bookings. I say a lull, it's never dire at all. I'm very fortunate in that way. I just overreact and I get so up in my head, it's ridiculous. And it becomes this vicious cycle of think you suck, do bad auditions, book less jobs, and repeat. And this is so important in the acting world. So in order to work out what had changed, so what I'd changed in the auditions that I was doing and workshop my strategy, I looked back over auditions that I was doing years ago, because I was booking a lot then. So I thought, let me see what I was doing then, and I'll compare it to what I was doing now. As embarrassing as this is, I'm going to play a few of my oldest auditions because objectively they are bad. They're just bad. So I'll eat capsicums while you listen to a few of my auditions.
We are owners and expert developers, focused for the long term on bettering lives and preserving affordable multifamily housing for generations to come. I'm ready. I'm ready to live my regular life and ready to be with my friends. I'm ready to be able to go on vacation, ready to get back to in-person classes in the fall.
I can feel my breath getting garlickier by the second. So I had permission to share those based on where I submitted them. But it sounds like I'm reading a script, and I can't even really hold down the accents I'm trying to sound native in. But you know what? I was booking a ton of work back then. A ton of work. And the non-revolutionary revelation that I came to was this: confidence is king, especially in an industry where you are the product. So in things like acting or voice acting, we are the product. And it's really, really difficult to fake confidence when you are the product, because you can hear confidence in someone's voice. You can see confidence in an actor's performance. You can see the doubt in their eyes if they're not buying it. And I had this almost overconfidence when I started voiceover. I thought I was the bee's knees. And that came through my work. Even if the reads weren't exactly great, I believed I could do it. I heard Hormozy talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect recently, and that's exactly what this was. The Dunning-Kruger effect is essentially a cognitive bias where people with a low level of skill in a specific area overestimate their ability. And then when we get more knowledge about the thing we're doing, we realize that we know nothing and our confidence plummets. And then as we continue on our journey and we learn more and more, our confidence builds back up. And you hope that eventually it gets to the point, the confidence you had back in the beginning when you knew nothing. But usually there's a disconnect. So the people who have the least knowledge tend to overestimate their skill, and the people who have the most knowledge tend to be more humble about it and underestimate the skill that they actually have. And that is exactly what happened here. Don't get me wrong, overconfidence can be a terrible thing. Overconfidence. You need to be open to critique and learning in order to actually improve. But that sense of confidence you often have when you start something and you don't yet realize how bad you actually are is very empowering. There's an actor I know who has already booked quite a lot of work. And this person is only a few years into their career. They do not have a portfolio of work or a show reel, and somehow has managed to book recurring roles on network TV shows. This person does have a few things working in their favor, but what they have more than anything else is a sense of overconfidence. They think they are great. I think in this case, the overconfidence may be their eventual downfall because there are a few questionable decisions that have been made as a result of it. But that aside, it's great to have it to start out with because it can often make your work better without you even realizing it. And the same thing applies in business. I was reading an article in Fortune the other day talking about the CEO of Figma and what he did to build the business before it was worth $68 billion. For those of you who don't know, Figma is an online design platform. He got most of his first users by cold emailing people he'd worked with or met before. He reached out to people he'd never met but thought that he could help him or he could learn from them, and offered to buy them coffee in order to learn from them and to pick their brains. And a lot of them said yes. And without some sort of self-belief that he could do this, he could build this thing needed to be built, he never would have reached out to those people. He never would have got customers for his product. He never would have built a $68 billion business. If we look at the acting world, it's the same. Margot Robbie claims to have cold called Fremantle Media, the producers of Neighbours in Australia, again and again and again until she was accidentally put through to casting and managed to get an audition for Neighbours. Booked that job, look at where she is now. Gareth Edwards, when he was filming Monsters, which was his first feature, he had a very small budget. He was trying to shoot the aftermath of a disaster, people being pulled out of rubble, fire engines everywhere. And for anyone who knows film, that is expensive to do. Those kinds of shots cost so much money. So he was in Mexico. He went to a fire station and asked if they could film it. The first 3 times they said no, but he finally got someone to agree. Then when they started filming, 3 cop cars came along and they wanted to join in too. And one of the quotes I read in one of the interviews he did that I particularly liked was, "It was relentless trying to get lucky." And that, I got parsley in my teeth. Going well. I feel like I'm sort of going off on a tangent there, but they're intertwined concepts. Had he not believed that he could make this film, had he not approached Vertigo Films for funding, he never would have even been in Mexico to be asking people about fire engines. There's a sense of self-belief and confidence that gets you to take those actions. The point that I'm getting at for both my own benefit and yours is that the precursor to all of this, it seems to be an inflated sense of confidence. Not necessarily inflated, but a sense of self-confidence and self-belief. If Margot Robbie didn't believe that she could act and that she could do a good job and that she could have a full-time career in this, she never would have harassed Fremantle Media for an audition or booked the job. Same with Gareth Edwards. If he didn't believe that he could make the feature film, he never would have approached Vertigo Films for funding. He never would have got the funding. He never would have asked all of those random people in Mexico if they could be in his film. And he would not have a career directing blockbusters today. Capsicum break. I feel like I'm not doing very well eating these capsicums. So mindset isn't this magical thing that will get you everything you want. It takes self-belief, and action. You can have all the confidence in the world, but if you don't do anything, you're not going to get anywhere. There was this trend going around recently called something like lucky girl syndrome. I didn't watch the trend, but I watched a lot of people commenting on the trend. I don't think I've ever hated anything more in my life. It seems to encourage girls to just believe that they're inherently lucky and that everything will work out in your favor, but it doesn't actually encourage them to take any action whatsoever. I think a lot of social media misconstrued it. I do think there's a huge benefit in having a positive mindset. There's even science to suggest that positive emotions can influence brain chemistry, stress response, and even longevity. But if you want to build a business or an acting career or a voiceover career, you have to do more than just have a positive mindset. You actually have to take steps, take action to execute that plan. So I want to leave you with this, and me, with this thought. Whatever it is you're doing in life, try as best as you can to go about it confidently. Negative self-talk is not going to get you anywhere, especially in voiceover. It just makes you worse. So if you notice yourself doing it, nip it in the bud before you end up going down a why am I doing this? I can't make it work. I'm so bad rabbit hole. Been there, done that. And if you want to do something amazing in life, be prepared to put yourself out there. I mean, look, people are mean. That's just a blanket, people are mean. Whatever you do, you're going to get pushback from someone, and that's just part and parcel of doing big things. The good news is that usually the people who have the time to be mean to you, especially the people who sit on Facebook with, or social media with faceless profiles and write mean comments, won't be the ones to accomplish great things. So on that note, I didn't actually eat much of these capsicums, so I'm going to continue eating capsicums when you don't have to listen to me chewing. But I hope that you can go out there and just try stuff. Do things. Take action. If there's something you want to do, find a way to do it. Take that sense of inflated self-confidence you have when you know nothing, and now that you know things, apply it to what you're doing and flourish.